Welcome to Slice Serve, a new tennis podcast by tennis nerds for wannabe tennis nerds. This is your place to satisfy your curiosity and leave feeling just a little bit smarter and appreciative of this game that we all love. We aim to be informative, funny, inclusive, entertaining, and occasionally sassy, and strive to make this a good use of your time. So, let's get started.
So we're super excited to bring to you the first ever episode of Slice Serve. And
Woo!
we are a tad different than all other podcasts out there. We call our episodes slices, like a slice of pizza. But this is all about tennis. We want to get started and put this out there for all you loyal fans who have been waiting all these years. Maybe not yet, but finally we are here. And this is real. Check. But wait a second. Who is this podcast for?
Good question. Well, let's see. Hypothetically speaking, if you were applying with us for the role of Sliced Serve podcast listener, here's what I think the job description would say. Are you a casual tennis fan that wants to learn more about the nuances of our beloved sport? Are you a recreational tennis player competing in local leagues looking to level up your tennis trivia chops? Have you ever wondered why tennis balls look the way they do? And do you party with tennis friends a lot? I mean, who doesn't, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you want to impress them with bombs like who won a mixed doubles calendar slam, or why did the Australian Open switch from like rebound ace to cushion acrylic, or why did we stop using wooden rackets? Like why? Or would you ever say, I want to be a tennis nerd out loud, regardless of what others think of you? Mm-hmm. Last but not the least, do you hate pickleball?
Ooh.
If you said yes to all of the above, then this podcast is for you.
This podcast is to be informative. Check. Funny. You bet. Sassy. Absolutely. Entertaining? Well, we hope so. Wait. Did we just say this is an inclusive podcast, Ravi?
We did, didn't we? Is that a problem with that whole pickleball thing?
Could be. I think so. We are already on episode 1, and we might have alienated our audience of many.
Wait. What audience? Oh, you mean my dog? All right, fine. See, if you love pickleball, you are welcome to listen to this podcast too, okay? Maybe that'll change your mind about which sport you should really follow.
Ooh, dude.
Okay, let's move on.
All right, awesome. I'm quite excited to get this started. So why do you call this sliced serve?
Yep, good question. I asked myself the same question. We love pizza, and our tennis slices are amazing too, especially when no one's looking. So we considered many names actually. Beyond the baseline, ready to serve, and underarm smash, which was my favorite. But I also found out that that's a real term in badminton. So we spent way too many hours looking for a name that was still untouched and, free of any conflict and liked by the family. It's important to us because they're going to be our first listeners. So we settled on Sliced Serve. Like, in retrospect, I think it's great because it checks our boxes and makes us feel like we're serving you all these fresh, hot slices of tennis. In fact, our episodes are delivered as slices. And this, readers, did I say readers? I meant listeners, is our very first slice.
And if I may add, we thought it's going to be a very easy addition to come up with a name for this podcast. But I can tell you, after many, many days of spreadsheets, internet research on trademarks, conflicts, website names, product names, and I don't know what else we had to kind of go through. We finally made a very sort of scientific ranking, if you will, of all the names that came up with this, which has the least conflicts and most loved amongst our early adopters, which is our family.
I gotta say, Raghu, it felt like you were using any excuse you could to use a spreadsheet. but
There you go.
I think in the end we figured it out. So good job to you on that one.
Hey, just kind of where I start. But hey, but what a story, huh? And we are not even started. But why are the tennis podcasts? Are we out of our minds here?
Ooh, well, look, I want to say that ESPN like found a gap in their
Ooh,
coverage
yeah.
and like invited you and me to make this podcast. You know, with
Hmm.
a 3 year exclusive contract and paid trips to every
The
slam
dream,
and
the dream.
massages while we watch the games. But in reality, I used to be a wannabe tennis nerd, and I actually didn't know how to cross the net, if you will, to the other side of tennis nerdery. So I would actually occasionally hear phrases like ATP Tour or ranking points or bagel, and always wonder what it meant. Some of these things felt like things I should know, but there was no commonly available way that I was learning. There wasn't any of the modern day conveniences, but there were podcasts, and I pieced all of this over time together for myself. So I found myself thinking, I wish I had a podcast that just explained all these things to me. So
All right. So wait a second. So are you saying this is really a podcast for yourself? You made me and my entire family go through all this trouble to ensure that you keep yourself informed. What a great idea.
busted, dude. Yes, yes. I am scratching my own itch in some way through this podcast. Yeah, don't visualize that, but I also found myself thinking like podcasts are really cool and maybe I should make one. So anyway, that's really what the world needs, right? Like another uh, podcast with a couple of middle-aged guys speaking in their kitchens, and that's what you tennis fans really need. So here we are.
So we bring your enormous knowledge to bear on these podcasts. Is kind of what you're saying here, Ravi.
Indeed, indeed.
Cool. So,
We are what they call garage pundits.
or garage gurus. Um, so before we go further, let's jump into the world of slice serves. The audience, well, at least an audience of two, guaranteed, need to know who we are. Drum roll, please.
Woo! Well, you said audience of two. Don't be so sure I'm going to hear our own podcast. No, I will. I will. Of course, I will. All right. So, yeah, speaking of introductions, maybe I'll go first. So, I'm Ravi, and I'm one slice of Slice Serve. I'm currently in Seattle, recovering tech nerd, and I'm sort of a late blooming tennis nerd as well. So, I've played tennis, for a very long time, since my middle school days, way back in South India, on concrete courts, as well as my school's clay courts. Believe it or not, even though they look like Death Valley in summer. And I've played recreationally since then, and I really love this sport. So my interest, actually, I would say, in the last decade or so, has really snowballed, and I've been even like participating in the local leagues now. So yeah, that's kind of my path here. Your turn, Raghu.
All right. So this is Raghu, the other face of your weekly tennis R&R, calling in from Sleepless in Seattle. I've played tennis since I was like 8 years old. I started playing on clay. I don't call it Death Valley. That's where actually I grew up in that valley. Um, it was a slow learning for a long time. I loved it. I fought tennis, and I was better actually critiquing tennis because I thought I always knew more than I played. Way more than like 2 decades, and a special thanks to Rafa for keeping my interest going and making it memorable. All is there.
Vamos!
Vamos. And I started playing tennis again thanks to Ravi. And here we are again, together trying to create something useful for all you tennis fans out there.
Awesome, awesome. Actually, before we dive into the world of tennis, here's a little exercise for us. Do you have like a favorite tennis memory?
I started playing tennis in a small tennis club that was built by the British Raj in India. It was really this old building. It's multi-storied, all white washed, if you will. And it was situated outside of my little city, overlooking a very large lake, very picturesque. It had two clay courts, and both were lit up with lights, so you can play tennis in the night.
Oh wow!
And it is also in South India, and it was used to be warm during the day, so you only come at night and play. And I was not really a member of the club; my dad was. Was not meant.
So you're like Novak. You like playing at night
Yes,
in your turn.
that's my expertise. Night on clay.
Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
so my dad would take me there along with his friends. They play at night. It's more social thing, and then there'll be great food after that. So I would actually go for the food and just come and watch some of the tennis, and that's kind of how it all started. And after tennis game, we'd all just have fun, and then actually I'd pick up the rackets and hit a few balls around. So that's kind of when I would get my time, if you will.
I see, I see.
Yeah,
So food first, game later. Sure, I think. I mean,
I got my 5 minutes of
you had your
tennis
priorities right.
fame there. That's kind of how it all started. For me, tennis was a
Nice, nice.
distraction. So basically, it was a party, lots of fun, and filled with great memories. That's kind of how those what stayed in my mind ever since.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah, and I have like two memories, if that's okay. One like a long time ago, and one more recent. So that, I remember actually beginning playing tennis, maybe middle school age, and I had these two wooden rackets. Like one was Spalding and one was
Hmm.
Wilson. And I remember leaving one out in the rain, and it curved like that. It looked like a spoon afterwards. But I actually have no idea why my dad had these rackets because he only reserved his forehands for my butt when I misbehaved. I've never seen him actually play tennis, but I can confirm he had flat forehands like Sinner, like fear hands, no topspin.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so in my more recent memory though, it's really like when I for the first time ever attended like one of the proper tournaments, if you will,
Hmm.
like at Indian Wells here in
By
California.
the way, close to Death
Um,
Valley.
Close to Death Valley, that's right. But opposite feeling. I vividly remember paying $50 for like the first grounds pass that I ever bought, and walking in, going to a nearby like open court five, and watching Carlos play like with those wheels running around like live, and I was literally like a kid in a candy store. Like it's the most amazing memory. I literally could not wipe the grin off my face like that entire day. So yeah, sweet memories.
That's great.
Cool. Raghu, actually, I have one more fun exercise for you.
Hmm.
Um, let's say you can transform yourself into this ideal player, made up of today's top tennis players, or whatever, not today's, just your favorite tennis players, like with their strokes, etc. Um, how would you make yourself into this super tennis player? Like who would you pick from and why?
So you're thinking more like I would want to create a hybrid tennis player,
Yes, there you go.
which is a
Yeah,
combination of the best of different players based on variety of strokes and their
yes,
game. So let's
exactly.
like just kind of like look at sort of the different aspects of the tennis game. So one is the serve. Um, I would go back in time and I really loved Stefan Edberg's serve. It's very
Oh yeah.
simple, very elegant, and very powerful, both first and second serve. So I would actually pick him. In terms of volleys, I grew up idolizing Boris Becker, and his
Yes.
volleys on the Wimbledon court was just amazing. So I would actually just go for him. I think he
I'll
would be
never
the
forget
best.
the diving volleys, right?
Yeah. Um, let's see. In terms of the return, I would actually go with Agassi, even though Djokovic is really good. But
Hmm.
Andre Agassi just caught my attention so much over the years. He would just hit both backhand, forehand, flat out. And so I want to let Andre in sort of in my hybrid tennis player.
Yeah,
Um,
let's take his jeans shorts as well while we're at it.
yeah, or his hairstyle. Uh,
Yeah.
and then thinking like, backhand, I would actually pick two different backhands. I actually want both backhands. So,
No, you can't do that. You got to pick one.
so, so double backhand, I like double backhand from Rafa. I think it is just incredible.
Hmm.
Um, barely made mistakes, very consistent, very
Okay.
powerful. But
Yeah.
I am a single backhand player, so if I had a choice, I would pick Stan the Man's. Stan
Yes.
Wawrinka's
Yes.
single hand backhand, just beautiful. Um,
It is glorious.
Overall, what else is missing here? Any other aspects of the game
What about
that's,
yeah? How about mental game?
I think mentally is Rafa again. You can't
Hmm.
beat him. I think he just,
Yeah.
there are other players I think who play really strong, like Djokovic, but I think Rafa just has been like the epitome of just this mental tough guy in the
Yeah.
game. Um, what other strokes that you particularly think about, like in terms of
I think you covered the major strokes. We probably could keep
In
on
terms of
going based on like yeah, if
in,
there's so
in
many
terms of
different kinds.
in terms of
What
the
about
court coverage,
yeah? I was gonna say code coverage. What about that?
I think it's Djokovic, hands down. He
Mm.
just looks like a 20-year-old guy right now at 35, 36, whatever he is. It's just ridiculous.
Yes.
Although Andre was great back then, but I think Djokovic is taken to a whole different level over the span of time. Um,
Yeah.
Overall game, the overall just game, I think Federer makes it look so easy. Even though Rafa is my favorite tennis player,
Spoke. Yep. Yep.
I have to give tip my hat to Roger to make. I think tennis just more accessible to everyone. Just everyone loves it because of him. And so I guess there
Amazing.
you go. Those are sort of my hybrid,
Yes.
tennis
Yes.
player. If I ever want to create a perfect tennis player with all the different strokes and mentality and all of that, those are
I'll
my
ignore the
guys.
fact that half of you is left-handed and half of you is right-handed for
Ooh,
now.
I do like players who can play both hands though.
Well, tip of the hat to you for being a true fan and appreciating Roger and Rafa in the same sentence. Cool. All right. Let's see. How about me? Who would I
Yeah, what do you got?
pick? Well,
Yeah.
for my serve, recent Yannick has been pretty amazing, Yannick Sinner. But I think I'll stick with Roger. I think his serve action is just beautiful to see, and I love it. So I'll take Roger's serve for forehand. Um, I think I have to again, sadly, go with Roger. So maybe I haven't. I will say this: his forehand, when you look at it in like super slow mo, like there's this one point where he drops his racket and just kind of like this whip action. I haven't seen anyone else do that. So yeah, I think it's beautiful. So I'll take his forehand. Whereas backhand, I'm like you. I love the single-handed. You took Stan the Man, but I'm okay with that. As he's beautiful, but I love off late even more. I love watching Grigor, like Grigor Dimitrov's backhand
Yeah,
is just
it's amazing.
so beautiful to see. Like it's like a butterfly, and he's on court. So court coverage, I'll take dude Carlos. But if I could go hybrid even on that, I would take a hybrid of Carlos and Gael Monfils probably.
Ooh, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Morpheus. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it for net game. I don't have any strong opinions. Whose net game would I pick? I have to say in today, I guess I'm a little biased. I would pick Grigor's net game as well. His feathery soft touch has been incredible. Like some of the stop volleys he did in the last few games is just like, oh my, this is not humanly possible. So I'll take that. And
All
then
right.
yeah, court coverage, of course, Carlos. I think he has wheels inside his shoes, and they're just hidden. We can't see it. And mental game, nothing like Novak. The guy
Yeah.
is not human. So that's my sort of ideal hybrid unicorn player. So
There you go. There you go. That's
cool.
fascinating.
You know what? My
Um,
hybrid player should play your hybrid player, and we should see what happens.
that'll be that'll be super awesome.
Yes.
And maybe one
On
day.
on
Maybe one
on
day.
half clay and half grass court while we're at it. So hybrid court as well.
So that's a
Cool.
wrap for our short and sweet initial slice.
All right.
Join us as we jump into this world and serve up a little slice of knowledge on tennis. If you have any topic requests, feel free to leave them in our YouTube comments or message us on Instagram or X. We're
Absolutely.
here to get started and excited to be here with all of you.
All right. Thank you.